Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahanta Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Satyashishi Mad Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahanta Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Satyashishi Mad Sri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Anantakuti Vaishnava Vinde ki Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glory to the Sama devotees. All glory to the Sama devotees. All glory to the Sama devotees. All glory to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 1st chapter, text number 11. Deham manusham ashritya kativashani vishnibhi Jarupur yam sahavatsit kativashani vishnibhi patnya katyabhavan prabho Deham manusham ashritya kativashani vishnibhi Jarupur yam sahavatsit Patnya Katya Bhavam Prabho Yarupuryam Sahavasit Eham Manushamasitya Kativa Tibi Yarupuryam Sahavasit Patnya Katya Bhavam Prabho Deham Manushamasitya Vashani Vishnibi Yarupuryam Sahavasit Katya Katya Bhavan Prabho Manushamasitya Kativashani Vishnivi Yadapuryam Sahavasit Patnya Katya Bhavan Prabho Manushamasitya Kativashani Vishnivi Yadapuryam Sahavasit Patnya Katya Bhavan Prabho Vaishnavis Deha Manusham Ashitya Vashani Vishnibi Yadupuyam Sahavasit Patnya Katya Bhavan Prabho Deham body Manusham exactly like a man Ashitya accepting Kativashani how many years Vishnibi in the company of the Vishnus those who were born in the Vrishni family. Yadupuryam in Dwaraka, the residential quarters of the Yadus. Saha with Avasit, the Lord lived Patnya, wives. Kati, how many? Abhavan, were there? Prabhu, of the Lord. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no material body, yet he appears as a human being. For how many years did he live with the descendants of Vishnu? How many wives did he marry? And for how many years did he live in Dwaraka? Please repeat. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no material body, yet he appears as a human being. For how many years did he live with the descendants of Vishnu? How many wives did he marry? And for how many years did he live in Dwaraka? Purport. In many places, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Satchit Ananda Vigraha, possessing a spiritual, blissful body. His bodily feature is Narakriti, that is exactly like that of a human being. Here the same idea is repeated with the words Manusham Ashritya, which indicate that he accepts a body exactly like that of a man. Everywhere it is confirmed that Krishna is never nirakara or formless. He has his form exactly like that of a human being. There is no doubt about this. Om Jnanatimanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadati Swapadantigam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschattirishadharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivashari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So first I'd like to express it's a great pleasure to be here in this wonderful yatra and see this beautiful temple coming up, stone temple, traditional, which is very important, especially in South India, that things be traditional. That will attract people. And to be here with His Holiness, Bhakti Vikas Swami and all the wonderful Vaishnavas, so many enthusiastic devotees, and also to see the nice Gurukula schedule. I was looking at that. Very nice, thorough training for future leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the first line, Deham Manusham Ashritya. Krishna Ashritya, accepting. Srila Prabhupada translated as accepting. Sometimes it's also means taking shelter of. But Krishna doesn't have to take shelter. Of course, in one sense, Krishna loves to be subordinate to his devotees. Not to all of us. We have to become a little more trained up. But when in Vaikuntha, Krishna, in the form of Vishnu, doesn't take that position. And this is something very special, one of the special characteristics of Krishna. At the end of the 10th canto, there's one verse which I can't remember right now, that says that because there are 5 distinguishing characteristics of Krishna. One, that he sports in the Yamuna, which establishes the Yamuna as greater than the Ganga, and he is worshipped in a special way, even by the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. I can't remember them all, but anyway, 5 distinguishing characteristics. Besides his 4 special characteristics that distinguish him from Vishnu, the sweetness of his flute playing, his wonderful pastimes, his extraordinary associates, and his extraordinary beauty, which is beyond that of all of his different, in one sense, it says that all of Krishna's expansions, incarnations, etc., are of the same power, just like one candle lighting other candles, as Lord Brahma says. But these the sweetness of Krishna distinguishes him from all other expansions, etc. So his body, this is a very special characteristic, that he takes the human-like form. Actually, the human-like form takes after him. But when he comes to this world, it's said that he takes the human-like form, which is actually not, he's not really accepting it because it's always there. But he accepts it for certain reasons. Uddhava, meditating on Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, he said, Yan martya leelapaikam swayogamaya balam darshayata grihitam. That he said, this is wonderful, this human-like martya form or characteristic, and lila apayutam yoga maya balam. That yoga, this form, in this form, yoga maya has special strength or special power. What is that special power? That yoga maya is completely manifested. Now, Vishnu can manifest yoga maya, but Krishna, when he manifests yoga maya, it is the most extraordinary manifestation of yoga maya. As it says in the Upanishads, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natat samas chavikas cha dishyate. That Krishna, one of his exceptional characteristics is that he has nothing to do. One of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples who came from Germany, he came at that time, there were no airplanes. So he came by boat and he landed in Mumbai and he traveled across India. And when he arrived, he said that he had seen many different deities on the way. Every one of them, even the Vishnu deities, Varahadev is holding up the earth. The different incarnations of the Lord are doing something, but Krishna is simply playing his flute. He had nothing to do. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita it says that he accepts the extraordinary, he accepts to do something so that people will not go astray. People will accept their duties. If Krishna simply appears as Braja Krishna, then everyone will try to imitate him. say, well, this is what we're supposed to do. Dance with young girls. Of course, that's become popular in the West. No. But they don't even need Krishna to do that. Maya enthuses them, and they would say all kinds of things. And it's also said that this Yoga Maya Balam, that it manifests in the form of marrying, just like it says, how many wives did he marry? 16,108. Vishnu doesn't do that. No, he never does that. This is another extraordinary manifestation of Yoga Maya Balam. Darshataya Grihitam. Krishna exhibits these things. And then Vismapanam Swasyacha. That even the Lord of Vaikuntha, even Vishnu, especially Mahavishnu, in the 10th canto, later in the 89th chapter, we see that Mahavishnu, he is, Swasya, his own manifestations, his own expansions are anxious to see this particular form. So much so that Mahavishnu created a big disturbance in Dwarka, which resulted in Krishna and Arjuna coming to his abode. And he said, I just wanted to see Krishna. And of course, when Vishnu does something, we have an extraordinary mercy that we can see Krishna in his deity form. But to see Krishna in his original form, that requires a big qualification. Now, sometimes Srila Prabhupada said that we can see Krishna if we chant 16 rounds and faithfully and follow 4 regulated principles. But when Srila Prabhupada was leaving Caracas, Venezuela, on his visit there, he said it in a little different way. He said, if you chant 16 rounds, minimum, and relish them in the mind, and if you follow these 4 principles, even in the mind, not just externally. Externally, many people follow things, but internally in the mind, we can't see what's going on in someone's mind. To some extent, we can, as the face is a mirror of the mind. But, so Prabhupada said, if you do this, meaning, chanting without offenses, meaning following these 4 principles so faithfully that even one sinful thought doesn't enter in the mind, then you can see Krishna face to face in this lifetime. Of course, we see him face to face in his deity form, but we don't see him face to face all the time. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that seeing Krishna, that a devotee doesn't actually want to see Krishna in his original form, in the sense that we don't want Krishna to entertain us. Krishna is the supreme dancer, but we don't want Krishna to dance for us. We want to dance for Krishna. And therefore he said, better to see Krishna everywhere, to see how everything, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, everything is Krishna's property. And Prabhupada gave the example, just like a mother, she sees the shoes of the baby and she thinks of the baby. So in the same way, when we see anything, if we're actually Krishna conscious, we think that, yes, Krishna, this all belongs to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was so Krishna conscious in that way, just like we have this one book of Srila Prabhupada's different documents, and it shows some of the notes that Srila Prabhupada would take. He would use one piece of paper and he would draw, then he would draw a line and draw, he would use the whole piece of paper. He had access to, millions of pages of paper, but he was so conscious. I had the fortune, in my very limited association with Srila Prabhupada. We went to Delhi after the 1976 festival in Vrindavan. And we went in one man's house, and Prabhupada went to the back. Of course, we all followed him wherever he went. And he saw that one faucet was leaking. And he told one devotee to close, but he couldn't. The faucet was damaged. And so the devotee said, "Well, Prabhupada, it's not our water. It's not our house." Prabhupada said, everything belongs to Krishna. So Prabhupada was so Krishna conscious. So Parasya Shakti Vividaya Vashuyate Swabhaviki Janabala Kriyacha Gyanabala, all knowledge, all activities, everything that Krishna is doing through his multifarious energies, his Yoga Maya and his Mahamaya. His Mahamaya, he is above the gunas. But as it's said here, although he is Narakari, he is without qualities. He is nirguna, meaning he has nothing to do with the material qualities. They're all manifested and all managed by Maya. The Bhagavatam, it states that in the second canto, that Maya is in charge of all these qualities. I think it's 2:5. I can't remember the verse number. It's in the 5th chapter. That Krishna is totally transcendental. Therefore, he has nothing to do with these things. So, Krishna is very special. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote one verse, Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajasha Tanaya, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when he takes this particular form, he is Vrajasha Tanaya. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj. This is a very special form of Krishna. And where he performs his pastimes, Taddhama Vrindavana. That is Vrindavan. Vrindavan is very special. The most special abode of all the Lord's abodes is Sri Vrindavan Dham. And to accentuate the intimacy of his pastimes, Ramyaka Chid Upasana Brajabadhu Bhargina Yakalpita, that the best way to please Krishna is to recognize him, that he is the Lord of Vrindavan, and we should worship him in the mood of the gopis. Not that we think we're gopis, but the mood of the gopis, as here, Ashishyava Paramatam Pinastuma, that Krishna, you can embrace me or you can trample on me. Either one. It's okay. I think everyone would prefer his embrace. But if you trample on me, we're very expert at getting this from Krishna, and not even directly from Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says in the introduction to the teachings of Lord Kapila Dev, that when does Krishna personally take charge of your life? When you cry out to Krishna like a baby crying for his mother. At that moment, Krishna takes personal care. In the form of Mahavishnu, he is manifesting unlimited pastimes. But, unlimited universes. And he does it while he's sleeping. To sleep, unless you're an insomniac, to sleep doesn't require much effort. And he sleeps and everything happens. But Krishna's not interested in that. But Krishna's interested in one tiny jiva in the material world who surrenders to him. He immediately takes charge of the life of that devotee. just like we see in Srila Prabhupada. One time Srila Prabhupada had one devotee reading Krishna book to him. And then Prabhupada said, please repeat that. And the devotee would, but Prabhupada, you wrote it. Prabhupada said, no, Krishna. Otherwise indicating that Krishna inspired him to write it. And so, just like, what's that verse? I can't remember the verse right now. I was feeling a little strange this morning, so that affects my memory sometimes. I can't remember right now. But anyway, it's a verse, maybe someone knows it, where Shukavito Vyasa. I can't remember the verse. Anyway, it says Shukadev knows the Bhagavatam. Yeah. And yeah, Shukav, yes, yes, and Vyasadeva, he may or may not know. Shiva knows, Shukadev knows, Vyasadeva may or may not know. Well, what does that mean? Grahyam Bhagavatam Grahyam. That the Srimad Bhagavad, it means that parampara, that the knowledge is coming down from parampara. So we may hear it. We may not have fully realized it. Just like Vyasadeva heard, although he spoke the Bhagavatam and Shukadeva heard it, when Shukadeva spoke, he went to hear. When Sutta Goswami went, he didn't think, oh, I'm older, I'm senior. No. When it comes to hearing the Bhagavatam, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he prayed to Lord Jagannath, he said that Gopipar tur pada kamalayor dasa dasa anudasa. That when we're standing before Lord Jagannath, when we're here before the deities, we may have these designations which helps us to understand, to elevate our consciousness through the parampara to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But actually, no, samasarvashu bhuteshu, we are all in the vision of a devotee. We are, when we're actually on the Brahma Bhuta platform, we see everyone as servant of Krishna. And we see ourselves as servant of everyone. And so, Lord Chaitanya revealed this, that before the deity, before the Supreme Lord, in my internal relationship with Krishna, I have none of these designations are there. But they are very important. Very important, so that, not only so that society is organized, but so that everyone learns the proper respect and the proper etiquette and how to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, there's Brahmins, and the Brahmins teach, and they have that. It's not just some designation they get from birth, but they have to study these Shastras, and they have to learn the Shastras, and they have to teach the Shastra. And the Kshatriyas, they have to, they should also be not just Raja, but Raja Rishi. They also understand Shastra from the Brahmins. And that way, spiritual knowledge is disseminated among society. And the Vaishyas support everyone so that it can all happen. If there's no Vaishyas, how will the Brahmins be supported? And now we see that sometimes people who have that position are forced to work because the Vaishyas are greedy and they don't want to give. And the Kshatriyas, because Vaishyas naturally they like to accumulate, so the Kshatriyas make sure that they give the proper amount to maintain society. So such a wonderful creation of Krishna. Varnashrama, Vibhagashaha. Krishna It's not something, it's not just some social thing, but it's created by Krishna. So, but Krishna in Vrindavan, although there's Brahmins, but Krishna manifests so many wonderful special pastimes, you know? And his pastimes, his ornaments, param bhushanangam, even his ornaments are they are beautiful. They are beautified by him. You know? Just like in Damodarastakam we sing Lasat Kundalam, and it's explained by Sanatana Goswami that the ornaments are beautified. They become beautiful by Krishna's being associated with Krishna. And they're actually swinging, and it's like kissing his cheeks. You know? They're actually, and the gopis, they think, what have these, just like they think about the flute, they think about these earrings. What have they done to be constantly kissing? We want to kiss Krishna, and we every once in a while we may get some opportunity. But these earrings, what did they do? What austerities did they perform that they can be constantly associated with Krishna's lotus face? And so, but they are actually beautified. You know? In the material world, especially the ladies, they wear ornaments, you know, because the material body, although there may be some aspects, some remnants of beauty coming from Krishna manifested in human society, but we have all these defects, and especially, of course, nowadays, men, women, everybody, unisex beauty shops. They also go and get everything, cut their hair, everything. Try to be as beautiful as possible. Look as good as possible, because these material bodies are not capable of that. So, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vititattvaha, that if someone can understand this form of mine, this wonderful transcendental form, and my birth, birth of a human being is not a very wonderful thing. It's just, blood and substances coming out of the mother's body. Not a very wonderful thing. And the first thing the baby does is cry. Krishna, the first thing he does, and of course there's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also mentions that actually, he mentioned it more in relation to Lord Chaitanya, that actually he wasn't in the womb. He was in the heart. Krishna was in the heart. And he created an energy within the womb that looked like he was in there, but he wasn't in there. And he actually came out from the mind of Vasudeva into the heart of Devaki. And from the heart of Devaki, he manifested his four-armed form. So obviously he didn't come from the womb. Any woman who has given birth knows that just a little baby coming, what to speak of someone coming out with a helmet and armor, that would be very painful. So, but he comes and he manifests. So his birth and all of his births are so wonderful. When he's born as Vamanadev, he just comes out. He doesn't come out physically. He just appears as a dwarf. Just there he is, and every one of his apparent births. Of course, materialistic people, they can't understand Krishna. Abhijananti mam mudha. That manushyan tanum ashvitam. When he appears in this human-like form, they're completely confused. Mudho mayam abhijanant. They're completely bewildered. They can't understand that Krishna appears in such a wonderful way. Param bhavam ajananto They can't understand this. Mama Bhuta Maheshwara. How he appears in this wonderful way. They can't fathom it. They can't understand it. But a devotee, we have this special privilege that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Shukadeva Goswami and Srila Prabhupada manifesting the Srimad Bhagavatam for us. When you look at Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Sanatana Goswami, our main acharyas, Jiva Goswami, they really only comment on a few hundred verses. Otherwise, the other comment is one line. Either no comment or one line or two lines. But Srila Prabhupada, he brought the Bhagavatam into the perspective of modern society. And he also brings it into the focus of the Sankirtan movement. And sometimes where one acharya or all of our acharyas will say one or two lines, Prabhupada, just 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, so that we can actually understand. Of course, that also indicates that they had a different audience. They had a much more qualified audience. And our Srila Prabhupada's audience, people out of nowhere, no qualification. And Srila Prabhupada has to give them the adhikar within his purports to be able to understand the Bhagavatam. And I've been, sometimes I read the purports of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he says, Prabhupada says everything that he says, and so much more. He doesn't say everything he says in the 10th canto, because Vishwanath and Jiva Goswami in the 10th canto, they have very long purports. But, and Sanatana Goswami, little less than the other two, but he does also. So Prabhupada, up to the 13th chapter, he doesn't, because it would be too voluminous. I was with Hridayananda Maharaj when he was translating the 10th canto, and my service was to receive all the translations from Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, and I would organize them, because he would send them in packages. And of course I would read them. And I said that you should just do a book, apart from verse by verse, just a book with every one of these, because Prabhupada didn't include them all. They're so nectar-like. And I hope that someone will do that someday. We have the translations, but if somebody would just organize it. Of course, Jiva Goswami has Gopal Champu, which is, a rendition of many of the things that he says in the Krama Sandarbha and different Sandarbhas. But so beautiful, this 10th canto, because it's speaking about Krishna. But we have to be very careful, as I just stated from Swatasvatara Upanishad, that Tat Samas Chabikash, and of course Asamaudra, that there's no Sama and there's no Urdhva. There's no one greater than Krishna and there's no one equal to Krishna. Even the second offense to the holy name, Shivasya Shri Vishnur, Iha, what is it? Iha, Gunanamadi Sakalam, that Diya Binam Pashyat, that it's offensive to think. And of course it's mentioned Shiva, because Shiva is, as Lord Brahma says, he's like yogurt and Krishna is like milk. He's actually a transformation. Brahma is a jiva, but Shiva is not a jiva. He's Shiva Tattva. Of course, we include Srila Prabhupada in his translation. He included Brahma, because Brahma is so great. But the actual verse in Padma Purana, Shiva is so great, but if you try to equate his name to the name of Vishnu than Hari Nama Hitvara. That it's very inauspicious, offense. So we have to be very careful that we don't do that. And I always emphasize it's not just the demigods or Shiva and Brahma, it's also their potencies. Otherwise, so many people, they're chanting Hare Krishna, they're doing some form of devotional service, trying to do it, but they're giving more importance to the energies of the demigods, of the money, fame, family, all these things. If you give more importance, just like Krishna says, yo yo yam yam tanum tanum bhakta shraddhaya chitum ichati tasya chalam shraddha. Be careful where you put your faith. Because he's speaking about the devas, but you have to be careful where you put your faith. If you're putting it in, and what does that, how do you determine that? What do I dedicate my day to? To making money, to my family, to friends, to society, then that means that is also an offense. It's not just the demigods, but the potencies of the demigods, which are manifested in the form of material nature. So if we're more interested in society, friendship, family, and love, then we're actually committing the second offense. And so we have to be very, very careful. So Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that Krishna is not formless. His form, just like Jiva Goswami says, when you chant the holy name properly, then the form of Krishna becomes manifest. And when the form of Krishna becomes manifest, then the qualities of Krishna become manifest. And when those qualities, when one meditates on those qualities, then his leelas become manifest. Of course, that may happen simultaneously. But it all begins with the chanting of the holy name. And when we chant Krishna's name, so many different forms are indicated. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, Vibharvari Shesha. Speaking about so many different forms of Krishna. And we, Yashomati Nandana, Ajabharu Nagara. So many different wonderful forms of Krishna are being manifest in. So, of course, devotees accept this, but especially here in South India, one of the bastions of Mayavad, it's quite a challenge to try to not only yet. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, he wrote in one little book that he has. He said, when I first joined, I read about these Mayavadis. And he said, I thought it was some tribe in India. But then, after hearing from Srila Prabhupada, I realized it's all of us. We have this Mayavad tendency. Krishna has two psychic aspects, controller and enjoyer. So the Mayavadis, they are interested in the controlling aspect. I want to be Ishvara, I want to be supreme. And the Sahajas, they're interested in the enjoying, in imitating Krishna in the enjoying aspect, trying to be equal with Krishna. So either one of these is within us, and we have to go beyond that by nirmamo nirahankara, giving up our sense of possessiveness, understanding everything belongs to Krishna, and giving up our false ego, thinking that I'm very important. Atmanam manyate jagat, that I can understand everything with my meager intelligence. I've got it all figured out. And anything that doesn't fit within this tiny brain must not exist. It must be some other manifestation. So in this wonderful verse, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes this, that we, as Krishna says to Arjuna about his form, Naham Vedaya, na tapasa, na dane, na chajaya, shakya, evam vido, vido drashtum, drishtavam, asime, asimam yata. That you can never understand what you're seeing now. No one can understand through Vedic studies, through tapasya, through giving charity, sacrifices, and all types of worship. You can never understand it. How can you understand it? Bhaktya tonanyaya shakya. Ahamivam vidho Arjuna. You can gyatum drashtum cha tattvena pravishtum cha parantapa. Through unalloyed devotional service, it is only possible to know me, to see me, and to understand the mysteries of my existence. And what are those mysteries? Exactly what we're talking about here. That Krishna can appear in a human form, in a baby form, and he can kill Putana, and he can kill all of these demons as a baby, as a young boy. Srila Prabhupada said, and I'll conclude with this, he said one time, fight, we must fight, we must fight, we must fight against the Mayavadis, against the materialists. He said Krishna was fighting from 3 months old and all through his life. Therefore, it is the duty of every devotee, we must fight. So what we're doing in the temple, hearing the Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavad Gita, we're preparing to fight. The first fight against my mind and my senses that are trying to convince me that you should enjoy this material world. And then we have to fight, once we're fixed up in Krishna consciousness, we have to fight against the Mayavadis, the materialists, the atheists. And the world is becoming overcome by these people with their atheistic sinful propaganda. And unfortunately, some devotees, they think, well, maybe that's just part of life. So I'm very happy to see that all of you are being trained up strictly, and then you can be in the forefront of this great fight against Maya's. Of course, Maya is actually helping everyone, but unless you're Krishna conscious, you can't see how she's actually serving the devotees by giving us some difficulties so that we will realize that the material world is not my place. It's not my home. So she's she's helping us. But for the materialists, she's influencing them to such a degree that they are convinced that their life is meant to enjoy this material world. So we have such a great task. Srila Prabhupada fought this way, and he encouraged us to do the same until we drop dead. Prabhupada said in New York, 1976, he was coming out of the elevator. He was a little weak. So the devotee said, Prabhupada, maybe you should just rest. And Prabhupada walked a little bit, and he turned around and he said, just like Arjuna, I will fight to the end. And then he walked a little more, and he said, and you should do the same. So at least until we're incapacitated, we should fight to establish this Krishna consciousness movement in the world. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Any comments or questions? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
We fight.
How should we fight?
With bombs, guns.
By preaching. That is our weapon. Sangopangashta Parshadam. Dancing and chanting, we're also fighting. Here, I forget who was telling me yesterday that, yes, you were telling me that when we first started here in South India, dancing and chanting, what are they doing? Actually, Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu showed me his book where he's actually found from the Alwars that they predicted this would happen. But of course, nobody understands that. Just like some of Prabhupada's godbrothers said that we actually thought that this idea that Krishna consciousness will go to every town and village was like something metaphorical. But actually Prabhupada showed, no, it's meant to happen. So the Alwars, what was it, Namanlal Alwar, this is meant to happen. It was predicted. It was predicted in the Puranas. But still, the people, they don't know these things. So we're actually, when we go out and chant and dance, we're fighting against some very solid, traditional, sometimes a little bit narrow view of what spiritual life is. So this Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to South India 500 years ago. Imagine what happened. But his potency was so great that people would dance and chant also, even here in South India. Because just like Prabhupada, when he would speak, his potency, when he would say, "You're not this body," I can say that. People go, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe not." But when Prabhupada said it, you could see the devotees, it was like a wave of Shakti. Yes. And at least they temporarily forgot, I'm not this body. Some of them, after Prabhupada left, it kind of, the Shakti kind of kept going through. It didn't stick. But like Maharaj, Haripad Prabhu, all the devotees who have remained faithfully pursuing this fight that Srila Prabhupada began, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began, all of our, Narada Muni began, all of our acharyas. They've seen Prahlad Maharaj millions of years ago. Some people think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inventing millions of years ago. Prahlad Maharaj, he said, "Tato shoche," that the only thing I can lament about is that people are turning their backs to Krishna. Maya sukaya paramudlahato vibudhan. And there's such mudha. They're not even mudhas, they're vimudhas. Vimudha means a specially empowered fool. They're specially empowered by Maya to try to create happiness in this material world. So even from Prahlad Maharaj's time, he had that mood, that Naitan Bihaya Kripanan Vimamuksha Eko. That how can I turn my back on these people? Because there's no other hope other than you, my Lord Nrsimhadev. Without Krishna, there's no hope. So yes, we have to fight in every way that Srila Prabhupada taught us. That's my response. So thank you all. Oh yes. You have to speak a little clearly because I'm become hard of hearing from too many enthusiastic kirtans and weak ears.
So Maharaj, you were mentioning about the commentaries by various acharyas. So some devotees, they read those commentaries without reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So what is your advice, how they should go about when they can read different acharyas' commentaries? And like that?
How do we go about?
So what is your advice? So should they finish all Prabhupada books once and then they should read other acharyas' commentaries, or what should be the system?
What's the system? We take what Srila Prabhupada says, and then we may complement you know, many devotees, they read what the acharyas say. So when we're explaining the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, we may include some details that Prabhupada left out, because if Prabhupada would include all the details that every acharya put, there are 150 authorized commentaries on the Bhagavatam, and there's much more unauthorized ones. So you can imagine if we included all that, we would have like 100 volumes. And so some devotees, our main acharyas, the three main acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami, they're the main commentators because they're in our parampara. And so, we can complement when we explain the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. His Holiness Bhakti Vikash Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bhai.